Every generation produces an idea that promises to change the world. Some actually do. Others become cautionary tales. This is one of those stories. It begins in Silicon Valley, a place where impossible ideas are welcomed, where ambitious founders become legends, and where investors search relentlessly for the next revolution. In this world, changing an industry isn't enough. You must promise to change humanity itself. At the beginning of the 21st century, one problem remained untouched. Millions of people dreaded blood tests. The process was slow, expensive, sometimes painful. What if all of that could disappear? What if hundreds of laboratory tests could be performed, using nothing more than a single drop of blood? It sounded like science fiction. But one young entrepreneur claimed it was no longer fiction. Her name was Elizabeth Holmes. She wasn't an experienced scientist. She wasn't a renowned physician. She wasn't the head of a major pharmaceutical company. She was a college student with an extraordinary vision. At 19 years old, she left Stanford University with a dream that few people dared to imagine. She believed medicine could be transformed forever. The company she founded carried a simple name: Theranos. At first, almost nobody noticed. There were no spectacular product launches, no billion-dollar marketing campaigns, no worldwide headlines, only a bold promise. A promise that one small machine could replace traditional laboratories. A promise that healthcare could become faster, cheaper, and accessible to everyone. It wasn't simply a business opportunity. It sounded like a mission. A mission to save lives. That idea spread quickly. Investors listened carefully. Journalists became curious. Technology leaders began paying attention. Because in Silicon Valley, people don't invest only in technology. They invest in belief. And Elizabeth Holmes knew how to inspire belief. She spoke with remarkable confidence. Her words were calm, measured, certain. Every interview painted the picture of a founder determined to solve one of healthcare's greatest challenges. Soon, comparisons began to appear. Some journalists called her the next Steve Jobs. She adopted the now famous black turtleneck. She kept her presentation simple. Her image projected discipline, focus, and quiet confidence. It was a powerful story. A brilliant young entrepreneur. A revolutionary invention. A mission to improve millions of lives. It was exactly the kind of story investors wanted to hear. Money started arriving. First, millions, then tens of millions. The company grew rapidly. Employees were hired. New laboratories were built. Powerful investors joined the journey. Every new investment strengthened the company's reputation. Success seemed inevitable. But there was one question almost nobody was asking. Where was the proof? The technology remained hidden. Independent scientists had seen very little. Published research was limited. Demonstrations were tightly controlled. The
company explained that secrecy was necessary. Its technology was revolutionary. Competitors were everywhere. Trade secrets had to be protected. For many people, that explanation sounded reasonable. In Silicon Valley, secrecy often means innovation. The fewer details available, the more valuable an invention appears to be. And so, trust replaced verification. Hope replaced evidence. The dream became stronger than the questions. No one realized it yet, but the foundation of a $9 billion empire was already being built on something far more fragile than technology. It was being built on belief. To be continued.
Every great deception begins with a believable dream. Long before Theranos became one of the most valuable private companies in America, there was only one young woman and one ambitious idea. Elizabeth Ann Holmes was born in Washington, D.C. in 1984. From an early age, she admired inventors. She admired entrepreneurs. She admired people who changed history through innovation, according to those who knew her. She wasn't interested in becoming famous. She wanted to build something that mattered, something that could leave a permanent mark on the world. As a teenager, she developed a fascination with science and technology. She spent countless hours reading about engineering, medicine, and the people who transformed entire industries through bold ideas. But there was another influence that shaped her thinking: Silicon Valley. By the early 2000s, companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon had changed the rules of business forever. Young founders were becoming billionaires. College students were building global companies. The message was everywhere. You didn't need decades of experience. You needed one revolutionary idea. In 2002, Elizabeth Holmes enrolled at Stanford University, one of the most prestigious engineering schools in the world. She studied chemical engineering, a field combining chemistry, biology, physics, and technology. It was an environment filled with brilliant minds, future scientists, future entrepreneurs, future innovators. While many students focused on passing exams, Holmes was thinking about something much larger. She believed healthcare had been left behind. Technology was transforming communication, transportation, finance, entertainment. Yet one of the most common medical procedures, blood testing, had changed very little. Patients still endured needles, large blood samples, laboratory delays, expensive testing. She became convinced there had to be a better way. The idea was beautifully simple. Collect a single drop of blood from a finger, run hundreds of laboratory tests, deliver fast, accurate, and affordable results. If successful, the technology could transform medicine forever. It wasn't just about convenience. Earlier diagnosis could save lives. Cheaper testing could make healthcare accessible to millions. The vision was compelling, and perhaps that was its greatest strength, because extraordinary visions often inspire extraordinary belief. In 2003, at only 19 years old, Elizabeth Holmes made a decision that would define her life forever. She left Stanford, not because she had failed, but because she believed she had already found her life's work. Like Bill Gates, like Steve Jobs, like countless Silicon Valley legends before her, she
She became another university dropout chasing an impossible dream. Her new company would eventually be called Theranos, a name created by combining two words, therapy and diagnosis. The mission sounded clear: detect disease earlier, treat patients sooner, improve lives. It was a mission almost impossible to criticize. Who wouldn't support technology capable of saving lives? But ideas, no matter how inspiring, must eventually confront reality. And reality is always more demanding than imagination. The dream had been born. Now, it needed to work.
By 2004, Theranos was no longer just an ambitious idea. It had become a company with a mission, a growing team, and an extraordinary promise. Elizabeth Holmes understood something that many first-time founders never did. A revolutionary idea alone wasn't enough. She needed people to believe in her, and she knew exactly how to build that belief. Every meeting was carefully prepared. Every presentation was polished. Every word was chosen with precision. She didn't speak like a college dropout. She spoke like someone who had already seen the future. Investors listened carefully. The vision was bold. A machine capable of performing hundreds of laboratory tests, using only a few drops of blood. The healthcare industry was worth hundreds of billions of dollars. If Theranos succeeded, it wouldn't simply become another successful startup. It could become one of the most valuable healthcare companies in history. That possibility attracted serious attention. Money began arriving from wealthy families, private investors, and influential business leaders. One investment led to another. Every new investor created more confidence. If respected people believed, others wanted to believe as well. This phenomenon has a name: social proof. People often assume that if intelligent, successful individuals support an opportunity, someone else has already verified the facts. But sometimes, everyone assumes someone else has done the verification, and no one actually has. As Theranos continued raising capital, Elizabeth Holmes focused on building credibility. She recruited some of the most respected names in American public life: former secretaries of state, former secretaries of defense, military leaders, experienced diplomats. The company's board of directors quickly became one of the most prestigious in Silicon Valley. Their presence sent a powerful message. This wasn't a small startup anymore. This was becoming a company trusted by America's elite. But there was one uncomfortable reality. Very few members of the board had deep expertise in laboratory medicine. Most were accomplished leaders, strategists, politicians, military commanders. They understood leadership. They understood government. But they were not specialists in blood diagnostics. And that difference mattered. Because extraordinary scientific claims require extraordinary scientific validation. Yet the reputation of the board created an aura of certainty. Journalists became fascinated. Magazine covers followed. Conference invitations multiplied. Elizabeth Holmes was no longer presented as a promising entrepreneur. She was becoming a symbol. The next great innovator. The next visionary founder. Some publications even compared her to Steve Jobs. The black turtleneck became part of her identity. Her calm voice, her disciplined image, and her unwavering confidence created an almost mythical reputation. Meanwhile,
Inside Theranos, engineers continued facing a difficult reality. The technology was far more complicated than expected. Blood behaves differently in tiny quantities. Even small inconsistencies could affect laboratory results. Building a machine capable of delivering hundreds of reliable tests from a finger prick sample proved to be an enormous scientific challenge. But outside the company, almost nobody knew how difficult the problem really was. The public only saw the headlines: innovation, disruption, billions in valuation, healthcare revolution, Silicon Valley's newest star. The dream continued growing, and with every new investment, expectations grew even faster. Soon, the company would have to prove that its extraordinary promise could survive contact with reality. To be continued.
By the early 2010s, Theranos appeared unstoppable. Its valuation continued to climb. New investors arrived. The media celebrated every milestone. Elizabeth Holmes had become one of the most recognizable faces in Silicon Valley. But behind closed doors, a very different story was unfolding. The technology still wasn't delivering the consistent results the company had promised. Some tests showed encouraging results. Others failed repeatedly. Engineers worked day and night searching for solutions. Scientists recalibrated machines, modified processes, and repeated experiments over and over again. The challenge was enormous. Running laboratory tests from only a tiny drop of blood proved far more difficult than anyone had imagined. Every small variation in the sample, every tiny contamination, every mechanical inconsistency could affect the final result. Inside the laboratories, pressure intensified. Deadlines became shorter. Expectations became higher. Investors expected progress. Future partners expected demonstrations. Employees were expected to solve problems that science itself had not yet solved. But the public knew none of this outside the company. The image remained perfect. Magazine covers described Theranos as the future of medicine. Business conferences welcomed Elizabeth Holmes as one of America's most visionary entrepreneurs. She spoke with absolute confidence. The company projected certainty. Success attracted even more success. Then came one of the biggest opportunities in the company's history: a partnership with Walgreens, one of the largest pharmacy chains in the United States. The agreement promised something extraordinary. Customers would soon be able to walk into selected Walgreens stores, provide a small finger-prick blood sample, and receive laboratory results quickly and conveniently. It sounded like the future had finally arrived. The announcement generated excitement across the healthcare industry. For investors, it was proof that Theranos was becoming a real commercial success. For the public, it represented hope. Millions of people believed blood testing was about to change forever. But inside Theranos, many employees understood the enormous responsibility that now rested on the company's shoulders. The technology would no longer be demonstrated behind carefully controlled presentations. It would now face real patients, real blood samples, real medical decisions. Some employees began asking difficult questions. Were the devices truly ready? Could they consistently produce accurate results? Were expectations moving faster than the science? Those questions rarely received simple answers. The culture inside the company remained intensely secretive. Departments shared little information. Employees were encouraged to focus only on their assigned tasks.
Many didn't know what other teams were working on. Others began noticing that raising concerns could make conversations uncomfortable. As pressure increased, so did the silence. The company continued moving forward. The public remained optimistic. Investors remained confident. But inside the laboratories, the gap between the promise and reality was becoming harder to ignore. Soon, that gap would become impossible to hide. And once the first people decided to speak, the entire story would begin to change forever. To be continued.
For years, Theranos had controlled the narrative. Investors saw success. The media saw innovation. The public saw hope. But inside the company, a different story was quietly unfolding. Some employees had begun noticing patterns that were impossible to ignore. Laboratory results that didn't match expectations. Machines that required constant adjustments. Tests that failed quality standards. And questions that never seemed to receive clear answers. Many employees believed in the company's mission. They wanted Theranos to succeed. They had joined because they believed they were helping change the future of medicine. But belief alone could not solve scientific problems. As months passed, some scientists became increasingly uncomfortable. The pressure to deliver results was relentless. Deadlines continued to move closer. Expectations kept growing. Yet the technology still struggled to perform consistently inside the laboratories. Silence became part of the culture. Employees rarely discussed problems outside their own teams. Information remained tightly controlled. Confidentiality agreements reminded everyone that speaking publicly could carry serious consequences. Some people chose to stay quiet. Others decided to leave the company. But a small number reached a different conclusion. If patients could eventually be affected, remaining silent was no longer an option. One by one, former employees began sharing concerns with people they trusted. Their stories were remarkably similar. The promises made outside the company did not always match what they had witnessed inside the laboratories. At first, very few people listened. After all, Theranos was one of Silicon Valley's brightest stars. Its board included respected national leaders. Its founder appeared on magazine covers. Its investors included some of the most influential people in business. Who would believe a handful of former employees over a company worth billions of dollars? Then, the concerns reached someone whose job was built on asking difficult questions. An vague journalist, John Carreyrou of the Wall Street Journal. Unlike investors, he wasn't trying to find the next unicorn. Unlike executives, he wasn't trying to protect the company's image. His responsibility was much simpler. Follow the evidence. Verify the facts. Ask questions. When Carreyrou began contacting sources, he encountered hesitation. Some former employees were afraid. Others feared legal action. Many had signed strict confidentiality agreements. Speaking publicly could change their lives forever. But slowly, piece by piece, a larger picture began to emerge. Independent voices, working in different departments, described similar concerns. The deeper the investigation went, the more difficult it became to dismiss the warnings as isolated complaints. Documents were reviewed. Technical information was examined. Former employees were interviewed. Each conversation revealed another fragment of the story. The image of perfection that Theranos had spent years building was beginning to crack outside the company.
Almost no one suspected what was about to happen. The media still celebrated Elizabeth Holmes. Investors remained confident. Patients continued visiting Theranos testing centers. But behind the scenes, a journalist was assembling the evidence that would soon shake Silicon Valley. The story was no longer based on promises. It was becoming a story about facts, and facts have a way of changing everything. To be continued. To be continued.
For years, Theranos had controlled the story. Now, someone else was telling it. In October 2015, the Wall Street Journal published an investigation that would change everything. The article raised serious questions about Theranos' blood testing technology, its laboratory practices, and the accuracy of many of its claims. For the first time, millions of people were reading a version of the story that looked very different from the one they had heard for years. The reaction was immediate. Some investors dismissed the report. Others demanded answers. Healthcare professionals began asking difficult questions. Regulators started paying closer attention. Inside Theranos, the pressure became overwhelming. Elizabeth Holmes publicly denied the allegations. She insisted that the technology worked. She defended her company in interviews. She assured employees that Theranos would overcome the criticism. But confidence alone could no longer stop what had already begun. The investigation continued. More former employees came forward. Additional documents surfaced. Independent experts examined the evidence. Federal regulators increased their scrutiny. Inspectors reviewed laboratory operations. The findings raised even more concerns. Questions that had once been whispered inside the company were now being asked on national television. Partners who had once celebrated the future began protecting themselves. One by one, relationships started to fracture. Investors questioned their decisions. Business partners reconsidered their agreements. Public confidence began disappearing. Perhaps the most painful realization was this. Many employees had joined Theranos because they genuinely believed they were helping transform healthcare. Many investors believed they were funding a medical breakthrough. Many patients trusted that the results they received were accurate. The collapse wasn't just financial. It was deeply personal. Careers were damaged. Reputations were destroyed. Trust, the foundation on which the company had been built, was disappearing faster than anyone imagined. Then came another devastating blow. Federal health regulators concluded that serious deficiencies existed within the company's laboratory operations. Restrictions followed. Leadership came under increasing pressure. The image of the revolutionary startup began collapsing in public. The company that had once been valued at nearly $9 billion was now fighting simply to survive. Every headline brought new questions. Every investigation uncovered new details. Every week, the distance between the company's promises and reality became impossible to ignore. Silicon Valley had celebrated Theranos as the future. Now, the world was watching one of the fastest corporate collapses in modern history. But the biggest consequences were still ahead, because investigations would soon move beyond business. They would move into the courtroom, and there, the story would enter its final chapter, to be continued. Every company leaves behind a legacy. Some leave innovation. Some leave inspiration. Others leave warnings. By the time Theranos officially dissolved in 2018, the company that had once been valued at nearly $9 billion was gone. Its laboratories were closed. Its partnerships had ended. Its investors had lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Thousands of employees had watched years of work disappear. The dream that once captivated Silicon Valley had become one of the most infamous corporate failures in modern history. But the story didn't end there. Federal prosecutors continued their investigation. After years of legal proceedings, Elizabeth Holmes stood before a jury. The courtroom was no longer discussing ambitious ideas or revolutionary technology. It was examining evidence, emails, financial records, presentations, witness testimony. One by one, the facts were placed before the court. The question was no longer whether Theranos had failed. The question was whether investors had been deliberately misled. In 2022, the jury found Elizabeth Holmes guilty on multiple counts of fraud related to defrauding investors. The verdict marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. A company that had promised to reinvent healthcare would instead become a permanent case study in business schools, law schools, and boardrooms around the world. So, what actually killed Theranos? Was it bad technology? Not entirely. Many groundbreaking companies struggle with technology. Was it a lack of funding? No. Billions of dollars had been invested. Was it competition? Again, no. The real cause of death was something far more dangerous. The company allowed belief to replace verification, vision to replace evidence, confidence to replace transparency. The mission itself was not the problem. Improving blood testing was a worthy goal. The problem began when extraordinary claims continued, without extraordinary proof. Instead of slowing down, the company accelerated. Instead of admitting limitations, it projected certainty. Instead of allowing independent validation, it relied on secrecy. For a while, that strategy appeared successful. The valuation increased. The headlines multiplied. The applause grew louder. But reality does not negotiate. Technology either works or it doesn't. Data either supports the claims or it doesn't. Truth eventually reaches every boardroom, every laboratory, every investor, and every company. Perhaps the greatest lesson of Theranos is that trust is the most valuable asset any business will ever own. Money can be raised again, products can be redesigned, companies can pivot, but once trust is lost, it becomes extraordinarily difficult to recover. Theranos reminds us that charisma is not evidence, confidence is not proof. A famous board of directors is not scientific validation, and billion-dollar valuations are not guarantees of truth. The rise of Theranos inspired millions. Its collapse educated millions more, not because it was the largest fraud in history, but because it demonstrated how easily intelligent people can believe extraordinary stories when they desperately want those stories to be true. This has been the business autopsy of Theranos. The company is gone. The lessons remain, because every corporate collapse leaves behind clues. And in our next investigation, we'll examine another company that seemed unstoppable until the evidence told a very different story. This is Business Autopsy.
where every business has a story, and every failure